Well, welcome back to the DCL Podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. And as always, I am here with my co-host, Christy. Christy, how are we today?
Happy it's Friday. Yay. Friday. Tired again. I'm still tired. My body has not figured out this jet lag business, but otherwise fine.
I'm excited that I am not still at work on a Friday at this time.
Yay. And you don't work tomorrow.
I don't. And I usually close on Fridays, so it's nice to be home this early this day.
Yeah, and it's still kind of light outside.
A little bit. We're losing it, but I made it home before it was dark, and that's what matters. But we are here to do our March Cabanas show. We've got kind of a mixed bag of different news to talk about. And of course, one big thing to talk about that we will jump right into first.
Anthony giving us shade. So for the listeners that are listening on the replay, we do record live for our Patreons, and I am getting snark from one of our Patreons because we did not start at the proposed time.
Listen, that was a little bit of my fault. While I got out of work earlier, I did get stuck at work longer. So I had to rush home and eat and do all my show prep. So that was all me. My bad, guys.
And then my family has been doing puzzles for Blake's spring break, and I started a new puzzle, and then I forgot to get up to get back to the computer from working on the next puzzle.
Like, don't take the blame. We all know. That's funny. Yes, but this is our Cabana show. If you haven't figured it out already, we are live for our Patreon members, as we do for these sort of shows. So we will be interacting with them throughout the show, answering their questions, and allowing them to be a part of the show and engage in what we're talking about. Christy, do we want to talk about the big one first? The one we're all excited to talk about, hear thoughts on?
Yeah, and I'll just say that I was going to put this at the end of the show, and Lake said, no, put it in the beginning. Okay, so the Disney just announced the newest Triton class ship, which is like the Wish class, and they named it. They did the whole keel laying ceremony, and the new ship is the Disney Destiny.
Yes, I would have never guessed this name in a million years.
Never, ever.
Which, I mean, is what we said about the Treasure, too. Like, I feel like the Wish was fairly predictable, and we thought, okay, we can do this. We can guess the other ones. And then they took and used Adventure for the other ship.
Right, so then we needed Treasure, which, okay. But Destiny? I do like the... So there's been mixed opinion in our Patreon group already about the Captain Minnie and her Kate. Well, I guess she's just Minnie. She's not so captain-y there, but she's here. I can't say that.
Her word. Hero Minnie is what we'll call.
Hero. Why is that a tongue twister? Anyway, Hero Minnie in her cape, and she will be on the front of the ship, on the bow, and... Yeah. So what do you think about all this? Like, well, let's talk about the theme of the ship, and then I'll get your opinion. So this is for you villain lovers. So clearly not a Christy ship overall, but it will have heroes and villains theme. Onboard guests will encounter heroes and villains alike. The Lion King, Hercules, and the 101 Dalmatians will be featured. And then, yeah. So what do we think? What do you think? I miss Steve for conversations like this, or Nova, because I feel like then I can just not give many opinions and you all can have the discussion. So now it'll just be you.
I think it's cool. Of course, people are looking forward to the villains aspect of it for sure. And I think that will definitely come through. I would say more in some of the lounge settings for sure when you talk about villains. I know someone was saying they hope there's like a Maleficent themed room or like villain themes room. I got to be honest. I think that's a stretch. I think that's a little bit too risky. Like there are definitely some kids that would like, you don't want to be terrified of your stateroom. I think those will be very much stay the bright colored, very hero, even princess-esque themed sides. And we'll get into more of some of the things that they hinted through with some of these videos and pictures. We do have the rendering of the front of the ship. The little like comic story though was pretty cool. That was a little bit different for the treasure. They literally it was a D23 announcement, which is a little bit different, but they were, just like, oh, and by the way, here is a CGI and this is the ship. And then we did get the sneak previews of characters you may find within the theming. But yeah, Destiny as a name, definitely like out of the blue, would have never guessed it. I also feel like the chronological way that they've named the ships feels very out of order to me. Like I feel like the Wish should have been like the third ship. Like Magic, Wonder, Wish, and even Dream, like all feel very connected. I feel like Fantasy and Destiny, like they partner together much better. And then like Adventure and Treasure. While, of course, like I said, Adventure is very much its own Wild West of Disney Cruise Line right now.
I wonder if the Adventure should have been named the Treasure, the Destiny, rather. And then, yeah, why haven't we used Imagination yet? I mean, I know there's a Carnival Imagination. I'm not even sure if that's still sailing. But Carnival also has a Magic, and nobody seems to care that Disney has a Magic as well. And then there's the
Royal has a Wonder.
Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah.
Almost every line has had a Magic at some point.
That's true. And then there's one more Triton class ship coming still, right?
No.
And so,
this is the final Triton class ship.
Right.
Yes. And then we do have a look. I'm not sold on like Hero Mini is women? Fine for a theme. No, I'm just not sold on this graphic as the front of the ship.
Right. Like, do we need her charging through the water? And what also doesn't make sense? I'm now like honing in. I didn't finish my thought, I realize, but I'm honing in at like Daisy with her little umbrella
parasol.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to fit with Hero Mini making the charge.
I mean, the rest of it is very beachy because you got Mickey and Minnie on wave runners.
Yeah, what is happening?
I don't know.
Now I need more information, Disney.
But yes. And for those wondering, the reason why the naming, like why all of a sudden it feels like this name came out of the blue, it wasn't waited for D23, it is because the keel laying ceremony was on that day. What was that?
March 20th, I think.
Was it March? Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought that was... Oh, no, it was Wednesday. Yes, the 20th. You're right. You're right. And that is very much set by Meyer Werft, the shipyard's schedule, essentially. And part of that is that they lay a keel coin, which is what I have on the screen here. You can actually buy these on, I think each of the ships sells their own keel coin. But one of these is basically pressed into the keel steel when they start making the ship. And it's a symbol of like good luck and good fortune for the ship. But with that, the keel coin always has like the name of the ship on it. So they basically have to come out and say, hey, this is what the ship's going to be named. This is a picture of the coin that they put in there. And again, you can also purchase these. I believe Steve collects the keel coins, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, it is actually. It is a cool little like shipbuilding piece of memorandum. And, coins are small and easy to collect, like pins.
Yeah, but I think they always throw them in like a big picture. So it's easy to collect until they throw it in some big whole plaque thing. That, Captain Mini or Hero Mini is going to be a great actual pin, like a pin trading pin. Like I feel like that one will be available to be purchased one day.
I would. Oh, for sure. That'll be like available first day.
Yeah.
100%. And then getting into the nitty gritty, once they did the whole video with Hercules and Hero Mini getting the coin, right before the fade out, there is this little scene here of this hallway and the different doors, which of course is some sort of hint to what we're going to find on board. Some of this is, quite frankly, not surprising for a Triton class ship. We see Edna mode. We already have Incredibles theming found on the ship. Now we might find something different. Will that take over, the salon area, or will there be, some sort of Incredibles themed? Actually, what would be cool is, because Edna designs the super suits, if they change the theming in the kids club to where you design your own like Marvel suit, to where it's like Edna helps you design your own super suit.
That would make sense for that room.
And then going down, we have pirates there. Again, not super crazy to see pirates theming on a Disney Cruise Line ship. Pirate Night will certainly exist. I am hoping maybe we see like a pirate lounge or something like that. We know one is coming to Magic Kingdom, so it wouldn't be that crazy to think. And I think that especially the pub has very much opened itself up to that kind of like live action theming at this point with 20,000 Leagues. That almost feels like the next logical step. Now it could also be attraction based, and that could be the Haunted Mansion space as well.
Well, and they could throw some of the rest, and you'll go through the rest of the little images that are on this screenshot, but they could also make it the water coaster.
Also
like
true.
One of these themes.
Yep. And then going down, on the other side, we have, that's the Haunted Mansion wallpaper there on the left. That could be anything. We already know on the treasure, we have the Haunted Mansion lounge. I would guess that they're not looking to repeat a lot of things, because the Wish to the Treasure is very different in the theming of the spaces. But something Haunted Mansion is persisting. Whether we end up seeing, I don't know. That's so hard, because that's borderline such on like scary.
Right. I would not want a Haunted Mansion room. I don't want to have a cabin of Haunted Mansion. So
like I said, I don't think cabins by any stretch.
Yeah.
Like, as cool as some demographics would find that to be, I think when you're looking,
shop could be Haunted Mansion.
That could be cool. I was even thinking like a restaurant. Like, what if you did like more of the ballroom theme style? If
this is sort of radio because it's going to air on the podcast feed, but if you could see my face.
Christy is not about that.
No, I can't even do the ride. I don't like ghosts. No.
Dennis says, give me a Tortuga lounge from Pirates for the lounge where hyperspace is on the Wish. Yep, that's what I'm saying. I think that is a fairly logical guess. And then moving down, we do have Black Panther and Spider-Man. Won't be surprised to see Worlds of Marvel coming back for sure.
Is Black Panther a good guy or a bad guy?
Good guy.
Okay.
And that is interesting, because I feel like those movies are in an interesting place with, I won't spoil that, but anyways, yeah, we know Worlds of Marvel is already on the ship. Now maybe we'll see different videos or different scenes incorporating those characters, or who knows, we might see actual like lounges themed after some of these spaces. That would certainly be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the lounge makes the most sense. I do like the idea still of Hook's Barbary, and I guess that could be Pirate of the Caribbean themed, right? Like getting some sort of scary villain, whatever they want. Pick a genre that I don't like, throw it in there. I don't ever have to go there.
I mean, really, we only have so many options for what they can do. You can, like, thinking about what themes they spoiled for the treasure, or teased for the treasure, I should say, it's either going to be a lounge space, a show, or a dining room. And there is a stretch,
Right.
you know, there are a couple other themed spaces they could be, but those are your big three when it comes to theming, like thinking about the Wish.
So we recently recorded a podcast with somebody who confirmed what we always knew was that a lot of times, and it was not a Disney person, but that a third class of a ship release could have a slightly different footprint. That almost always the first two ships are going to be exactly the same, but that the third, they have a little bit more leeway, and that's because of where they are in the planning process when, like, in line with the shipyard. So, do we think the footprint of the ship is going to change? And I think yes. And what I need is our sleuths, like Chad and Nova, are really good at doing this. And whoever else out there, I need you guys to take the projected Disney Destiny image as and compare that to the Disney Wish and see if it looks that there's any additional like bump outs, or if it's taller, or if it looks like it's got different space. And I also want to know, do we think that the hero zone space, I mean, the ship is hero, so maybe not, but the hero zone space is going to be reimagined? Because I sort of feel like there's no, like, it's a waste of space.
Underutilized.
Yes, underutilized for sure.
I don't think so. Only because it is essentially a larger multi-purpose room. And yes, that space is not always filled, but that space does also tend to get used for some of the tween and
Right.
teen room activities.
Yeah.
Also, there is a meeting room down in that space as well that like opens up into the entire space, so they can use that for a larger venue meeting if they needed to. Almost like, I want to call like a conference style, not conference style, convention style.
Mm-hmm.
I think that space, while yes, it also takes the spot of the, you know, the sports deck as well. You have things like the hero zone. I think that space also exists for the use of, you know, other venues. You know, if someone is going to come and charter a ship, now people aren't really coming and chartering the Wish per se very often, but once we have 3 of these ships with that kind of footprint, I think that is certainly more of an option.
Yeah. Amy says, bring back the walking track. That one might be a little too big of a change, but wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very nice.
Yeah, I do not love that there is no proper space for outside activity, that you basically have to just pace around the ship and then
So
the treadmill.
funny thing here, this picture I have, the Destiny, we're talking about another news article that uses the treasure, but it is this same image mirrored, and it says treasure, and it has a different skyline in the background, but the waves and everything under it are the same.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to look at it. I'm like, no, I really think these are the same. Because I was looking at the like concierge lounge area up top, and I was like, has it always looked like that, rounded like that? And I would turn, I was like, oh, that's the treasure, and it looks exactly the same.
That's funny. So, and Disney is a little bit, would lazy be the right word?
I don't think lazy is the right word, but these, like, all 3 of these ships were announced essentially as sisters. So I wouldn't be surprised that.
And not have it be the same. The Disney Wonder is slightly bigger than all the Oasis class ships, and they are in the same class, and they are sisters. The Beyond is bigger than the Edge and the Apex, and they are sister ships ish, and or at least in the same class, same family. So yeah, it could slightly be changed.
I think this might just be a discussion we need to have after D23.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because I think D23 is when we will probably get the details on this. Because at that point, I mean, we know pretty much everything about the treasure, save one or two little bits.
Is that August or September?
August.
Okay. So, but the fall, I feel like we have to read that comment, but I'm going to read it in a second. The fall release of 2025 should, in theory, come out in like May, June, right? And so if that were the case, now I have to look that up actually, because maybe it's a little bit later. Yeah, they have to sort of announce a little bit, right? If they're going to release it during the same time. So I guess that's the question. Why don't you go through some of these comments though? Like Dennis has has a new stage show.
Yes, Dennis says Pirates the Musical, Jack Sparrow sings. And then they said they could do a Hercules in the Hero Zone instead of the Incredibles. I was thinking because they have 2 Marvel pictures leaked on those windows that maybe Marvel takes that space as well. I think that would be I mean, let's be honest, that whole area is lightly themed.
Yeah. What about anything in that image that could give away a stage show?
That's what I was saying. I think that is the toughest one to try to figure out.
Yeah.
I really don't know, especially for a musical.
So then listener Kim, who really is the reason this podcast has ever started, brought Steve and I together and just got us both interested in podcasting. But anyway, she said analyzing pictures is like the Kate Middleton, like just like it is Kate Middleton, because everybody was analyzing her pictures. And then obviously her news came out today. So I guess we'll give her some grace on that. But
do we want to maybe move on from the Disney Destiny? This is why I wanted to talk about it first, because I knew we could just keep talking and talking about it. And it is the most interesting thing to talk about it. While we do have some other fun news, I've got some more cool pictures of some stuff to talk about here. There are some things I'm still excited to talk about, but we have some things that are kind of random.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about Marvel Day at Sea?
Yeah, so they did announce that Marvel Day at Sea will be returning in 2025. It's going to be available on select 4 and 5 night cruises from Fort Lauderdale, and these are happening on the Disney Dream. Now, I did a Marvel Day at Sea, oh man, was that 2 years ago? That was 2 years ago now, on the Magic. Loved it, thought it was a great time. They could have done a little bit more. You know, we're seeing at Pixar Day at Sea, they're spreading some of that through additional days. I hope they do that with Marvel Day at Sea. However, that stage show or the deck show with the fireworks, top tier deck show, best deck show of the fleet, even beats the Pirate Parlay. It is really, really cool.
I believe that.
It's pretty cool. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do have a video of like clips from that show. And I just really think they tried very hard to make it cool and make it feel like the people in it were superheroes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is coming back. Happy to see it. I would do a Marvel Day at Sea again in a heartbeat. Dennis says bring back Star Wars Day at Sea. I agree with that as well.
I thought Star Wars Day at Sea was pretty cool. I bet they can't, because and maybe not, but do you remember when there used to be Star Wars days at Walt Disney World and they had the character dining where they actually had like Mickey Jedi?
Yeah, the crossovers.
Mm-hmm. And then they even sold the little characters that, like the little plastic characters that were each of those things. Well, somebody told me in the process, because maybe I was looking for those characters or trying to something like that, that there was actually an agreement when Disney bought Lucas that they had to stop doing the Disney crossover character situation. Like Star Wars had to be Star Wars. So, and it's not like the Star Wars Day at Sea they ever did a crossover, but maybe there was still some issue with having the Day at Sea. Maybe there's rights that had to be paid or something. Like I can believe that Lucas put rules in the contract. Dennis, what say you? And before you move on, let me just go back to historical release dates that, and I don't know that we ever talked about this either. So sorry, we're going back to the Destiny for a second. We assume that the ship will sail in the last quarter ish, mostly because we already have summer out. And if you look at, they say it's going to release in 2025. There's no way they're going to do it when the treasure's only going to be in its second season, that they're not going to release a brand new ship. So it's going to be fall-ish of 2025. Historically, fall used to release in the before times in May, but then in the current times, it's been releasing in June, or the one year it was July. So yeah, it would be before, in theory, D23 that they potentially release this season or this fall season, and then they would potentially be selling this ship. And are they going to do it early like they
I was going to
did?
say, we may see it where they do its own special release, which we've seen for both of them, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I would not be surprised that if that is the way they go. I think they like to create hype. They make the little teaser video where we have more to talk about. Everyone wants to talk about it. And then they want you to book it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had something to say on that, and then I lost my train of thought. Oh, so we also need our sleuths on the internet to tell us where these ships are going to go. So we need to find for next fall, ships at ports that don't make sense, which is when we sort of learned about when the treasure was going to be sailing ish. It wasn't quite totally accurate because they found them in the Cayman Islands and some things like that. So, sleuths out there, find us where this new ship is going to go, and hopefully it's some new islands or they take another ship. That was probably more like it, and give it to the new islands. Just give us some new places. All right, and now you can read about all the Star Wars stuff that we're getting comments on.
Yeah, just lots of Star Wars stuff. Quite a few comments backing up what you had said about Star Wars character integrity is why we don't get the mashups. However, let's be honest, it is Disney, and if they wanted to bring Star Wars Days at Sea back, they would. Unfortunately, coming from someone who also misses the Run Disney Star Wars events, I know that while many of us beloved that franchise, it actually does not tend to be the allure that I think Disney tends to hope it is. And that is why we've found it being replaced. So I don't know that Pixar Day at Sea has necessarily been a draw for people. I think both guests that we've had on the show was like, yeah, it just happened to be Pixar Day at Sea. Whereas I do think people booked Star Wars and continue to book Marvel for that reason.
Also, though, the time of year, I would have in theory been excited about a Pixar Day at Sea cruise, and back in the before times when I used to just cruise the week-long fantasy in February when I didn't have to worry about school or, early March or something. I would have been like, let me go to Pixar, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is these themed sailings are used to help fill the ships. If the ships are already filling up 100%, they probably wouldn't.
That's true.
Do any of this.
That is true. And they are. Ish.
Yeah. Well, again, The only ship is the ship sailing out of Fort Lauderdale. Like I said, when I did it, it was the Magic sailing out of Miami.
Exactly. Chad says that Royal Caribbean announced a new private destination on Cozumel. Would love to see something like that for Disney on the western side. Would help Galveston sailings. But there's so few Galveston sailings. So, but
but there are plenty of like Mexico sailings, Cozumel, all of that, which is going to bring you over towards that side.
And maybe they'll need to once they have another ship.
Yeah.
Stay there longer too. Because Royal Caribbean like built out that port, they're always going to have a larger ship, I believe, sailing out of Galveston. And so that's why it does make sense for them to do something more there, because they can't always make it all the way across to get to something like the Bahamas or Castaway.
Oh, they also have 14 larger ships.
Exactly.
Every ship is a larger ship now. All right. Do we want to move on?
Yeah, the next news story is just for the listeners that like to go to the Royal Tea gathering that is on the ships, on the original 4 ships. They are now including different gift items. So it's a more generic offering. In the past, they had like a wand, I believe. I don't know if wand is the right word, but something like that for the boys. And they had like a tiara. Oh, maybe it was the wand for the girls, whatever it was. There was like a boy gift and a girl gift. And now it's going to be gender neutral. And then for those that don't know, the Royal Tea is that add-on experience that includes herbal teas and 2 delicious courses, which I've heard is very small. 1 savory and 1 sweet. And it's a special experience designed for children ages 3 to 12 and their parents. Each child must be accompanied by a parent or guardian 18 years or older. And it's like $220 for the children, $70 for the adult. If you had a child that's from 13 to 18, they would also pay the $70 if they were coming, and they do not get the little presents. And then on the merch front, some more, Lake.
Oh, yes, we have some interesting merch. I don't even know why this was like an announcement. This is just seems so bizarre. Right. Yeah. They wanted to say, oh, we have something new here. But the Disney Treasure announced basically that it is selling trinkets. Some of these are very cool trinkets. There is one in particular that I actually do like here. Give me 1 sec. I do have to upload this because I added these pictures after.
I don't like any of these trinkets.
There is one trinket that I like. These are all
trinket. Like if I was thinking of what Lake would like as a trinket, the glass.
So these are all basically themed around different lounges and stuff around the ship. But yeah, they are all just things for your home, essentially.
There's like a jewelry box thing with like a key and some earrings. There's a
notebook.
Yes, the notebook is kind of cool.
You can see we have, if you're watching, we have Haunted Mansion coasters. And then I like the planter.
Okay.
It is a ceramic planter, even though it looks on the picture kind of like it's metal. But I do think it would go pretty cool with all of my tiki mugs behind me here.
Yeah.
And I do. I mean, I have it's hidden behind me, but I have the Nautilus one from Trader Sam's.
And it's the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea themed. But
yes, they do. Yeah. It's basically a bunch of these lounges have different types of trinkets themed to those aspects. And this was a whole big announcement that they decided to make that said, hey, we are selling things. Shocker. These glasses, or this glass though, is pretty cool with the tentacles all around the scuba diver mask.
Would anybody ever drink out of those? I guess it just goes on your shelf, right? You buy it and goes on your shelf.
Like I said, it's all trinkets.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a key, and then there's a notebook and a key. Someone said probably Etsy does it better.
Did dairy. Yeah, she's probably correct. All right. So our next news story is that there is a new like Disney Cruise Line and Eleuthera collaboration with the locals. The Junkanoo, which is a long-standing cultural celebration. And there's actually a really cute video on Parks blog, and you can find it on the Disney Cruise um, Instagram page as well. That where they're showing locals actually showing Disney what this cultural celebration is that they do on that island. And then actually Disney is showing the locals how they create jobs actually caring about local culture. Sort of I guess what it reminds me of what they did with Olani and how they wanted to make sure it was an authentic experience. And I think they're looking to bring in some of those pieces into their new private island at Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, which I'm pretty sure I did not say that part. But that is the reason for this new collaboration.
Yeah, I feel like this was kind of one of those things that they were just like, look at how much we're doing.
Exactly.
And it is cool. And if you watch the video, you can very much see like the colors and the patterns do align with some of the design stuff that we will actually show you here in just a little bit. So there definitely is some truth in that as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I wonder, are they going to have like local dancing and some of that on the island when we get there? And is it going to be, I mean, we're doing the inaugural, so the experience might be slightly different. But yeah, I think it would be really cool if it was something that was offered on the regular.
Yeah, that is interesting. When we did our cruise and to Alaska and we had our Icy Strait Point, which is basically like the private island version of Alaska.
Right.
One of their like, it was a paid excursion, but they have like a dance hall in there and they teach you or show you like cultural dancing in there. However, we already know the port excursions offered. So if they're going to do something like that, it sounds like it would be included or incorporated, I think would probably be better. Like in my head, I imagine it more like when you're going through Africa at Animal Kingdom. And actually, Animal Kingdom has this in like 3 different places because Animal Kingdom rocks, let's be honest.
Yes.
But where there's just like people, you know, playing music and dancing and everyone's hyped about it. And that would be honestly really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like they could have that around the dining places, a little bit of like a few minutes here or there of dancing, or just like something to do in the middle.
All right. Well, since we're already talking about Lookout Cay, do we want to move into that segment?
Yes. Was it a segment? You mean the new outfits for Castaway Cay?
Nope. Oh, did you not add it? I have the pictures already.
Oh,
but
okay.
We have the construction update for.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes. So, look, basically they posted a couple pictures saying, hey, look, we're getting the island ready. You know, hopefully it is ready on time for you and I, Christy.
I hope so.
Oh,
looks like
we're
our
hoping.
cabanas are ready.
Yes. And these do look pretty cool here. This was the first picture they showed. Go ahead.
Also, we need to count and see where our cabana is located one day. To actually see where we are on this beach, because in theory we should be able to count them. Cabanas are numbered. I mean, they're not numbered, but you can tell each cabana.
There's 20 of them on here.
Right. So I think we'll have to count. We'll circle and count and share with the Patreons later what cabana we have.
Yes. And I have never experienced a cabana on Castaway, but a couple things that I kind of point out to me on this isn't necessarily the cabanas themselves. While you can see the grand cabanas, like here in the bottom left, they are significantly bigger there. And they have that pretty cool, like extended patio out there. That does look pretty sweet. Not going to lie. But the other thing I noticed is it looks like you have 2 bathroom and wash facilities kind of center or in the 2/3 area, the third and 2/3 area back there.
Yep.
And then it looks like there is some sort of bar or lounge right in the center of them all. You can see there's a very clearly unpainted gray building there, and it looks like it's like some sort of walk-up bar.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm really thinking that is what all of those are there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first update. I think this is like the most complete looking of the pictures that they show us, mostly because I think they wanted to be like, look at how nice and colorful these cabanas are.
Yeah. It's not like they need help selling them, but yes, they're bright and colorful and they look mostly ish done. Although those buildings behind it didn't look very done at all, and now you are showing a picture of.
So this looks to be the seating of the dining area. Mm-hmm. It's something barbecue again. I imagine, honestly, the offerings will probably be similar with maybe just a little different from Castaway, but it'll, be that cookout style barbecue food, which I love actually on Castaway. I like the food on Castaway. It's a little bit different from what's offered on the ships. But yeah, so you have these kind of cool, funky roof panels here, and you can see it both in the very top of the picture and obviously on the part that they are featuring, they want you to look at. So it looks like there are multiple of these basically different like pavilions.
Yeah, to sit so that you have a covered area to eat your lunch under. Yeah, I love that look of the island. That's what some of our comments are right now too.
Yep, that Dennis just said, I love the style of Lookout K. Yeah, definitely a lot of really cool design. Definitely cooler to look at than I think what some of Castaway is. Like, no one goes to look at the pavilions at Cookies.
No.
They're pavilions.
Right.
And they don't look like anything else.
I'm glad they're there.
We have one more. I think this is the least exciting of them. So what we're looking at here is, first off, kind of a concrete jungle, which is not very exciting by any stretch of the imagination. To the right there, where you can see the people standing, that looks to be the tram station. There is still an internal tram situation going on. I do believe that you kind of like how Castaway has like 2 separate beaches. I do believe there are multiple beaches here that are being utilized, so you may have to take the tram or you will have to take a tram to some of these.
I think it sounds like, in like looking at it, that they're going to be pretty long, that you would need to take the tram. Like, I wonder if they'll even give us the opportunity to walk. I am such a walker for the most part. I get very claustrophobic on that type of tram seating and just assume walk. But yeah, I'll be very curious to see how all that works.
I'm sure they will, because they did also highlight initially that there would be, walking path, nature paths, and that sort of thing. And there is lots of different tours that are like nature that seem to be like fairly accessible or within the area of Lookout K.
But that doesn't mean you can walk from the ship. So I guess
I'm going to hope you can.
Yeah, me too.
We'll find out very soon.
Yes, we will.
And then what it looks like we're looking at behind that, you can actually see far off in the distance, looks like some more pavilions kind of between the 2 main building there. And then, let's be honest, more than likely, we've got some merchandise going on here.
I hope so. I like a good merch.
I was going to say, we know they're going to be selling your sand toys. They're going to be selling the Lookout K merch. Somewhere is going to sell you an Olaf slushie.
Yeah, right. I wonder if it'll be a different slushie, though. It's got to be.
Christy just yelled at me muted to say key. So my apologies. I do mess that up very frequently.
I'm just going to start changing it, and anywhere it's written in a script, and put key so that it's
honestly, what's got me messed up is Coco.
Yeah, so here's how I remember it. I have to say perfect day at Coco K so that I know that that's how they pronounce it, but then I know that the Bahamians pronounce it key. All of the keys are pronounced key. And so that's what, like, I have to say the whole perfect day to make the other one say okay. So try to remember that. Just think of Christy saying perfect day at Coco K.
I will work on it.
And then if you're not saying perfect day, it's a key.
But that is all of the construction updates they shared with us here. I would expect we probably see more soon, unless they're just going to, well, no, because they have to release maps. There's going to have to be a map of the island at some point, so we will see that. So I would expect probably in May, I would say like within a month before or so, we'll probably start to see some more.
They have 10 weeks to finish for the pre-inaugural, the preview sailing. 10 weeks.
They can do it. I believe in them. I mean, it's not like anything on here makes me think, ooh, they're not ready. Like, clearly the cabanas are pretty much ready.
Go back to that screen. And this is, again, not very good radio, but there's a big open, there's like no roof on the one building, and it looks like there's nothing inside it. That would be like the bathrooms. I would say that's not ready. And then has any of our listeners ever watched the Brian and Sarah Ballman, I don't remember what their last names are, but they had a Rehab Island like show that Renovation Island, and they bought an island in the Bahamas, and it's near Disney's island, actually, because they make reference that it's near the main big island that is where like the crew and stuff live at Disney. And they talk about rehabbing this island and just trying to get supplies there and the crew and all the things. And all of this, I just keep thinking, and everything took so much longer to do. This is what I think of when I think of this private island, is that Renovation Island. It's going to take forever.
I'm thinking positive.
You always do. I love that about you.
I try to. All right. I think we just have one more news thing to knock out here.
Yes, there were new outfits for the characters at Castaway Cay, and they're very beachy. They're very cute. If you're watching it live, you can actually see the cute little outfits in the screen. I love that, like, Minnie's got her sunglasses on her head, and Donald has like Mickey has like a weird little cap. Donald is going scuba diving. It looks like Chip and Dale are actually like working on the island.
I think they are fishers, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Looks like he has a net.
Chip has the net, and Dale has, I don't even know what see, this is why I think he's like working. He's like got those like,
he's got little like buoys. Yeah,
buoys that you would lay out. And Daisy's just living and Minnie living their best life, and they're like sort of casual wear and resort wear. They don't have to do extra activities. And like Goofy's gonna go swimming. It's just stinking adorable. I love a good outfit change.
Yeah, and if this news sounds familiar, it's because they also, I think the month before or 2 months before, revealed outfits for Lookout Cay. Now, these are actually, funny enough, these are very different, though, from those ones.
Yeah, they are. Well, because the other ones are a little bit more Bahamian looking.
Influenced, yep.
Yes, influenced. I like that word better. Yeah, and these are just fully beach. Also sort of beach and Epcot 80s.
Yeah, they're a little more stylized than their old. Like, their old Castaway was straight up like, it's a beach day. This is our swimsuits.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit more, it's a little bit more styled. This is like we're on a beach soiree. Right.
Yeah. Like they're on their honeymoon or something, and they're dressing up for it.
Yes, they're going back to the ship for Palo lunch or Palo brunch.
Yes, for sure.
Which you can wear shorts at now.
Yes.
That is a news thing we did not plan on talking about. But yeah, there was an update to Palo that basically said you can wear like dressy shorts now instead of pants. So when Christy forgets to pack her husband's pants, he is not SOL.
I know, this is fantastic. Now I don't have to even bother bringing him pants because, but he still needs pants for dinner. Yeah, and I feel like one of our listeners reported that they actually tried to borrow pants from the ship, like I borrowed for Dave once from the ship, and that they were not offered. But I'm not sure if they tried hard enough. I mean, maybe they did. You guys, what the listener will have to report back on the details, but
That could depend on sizing and things as well.
for sure. They need a crew person that has that size pants for it to work. Yeah, so I think it's because women were wearing dressy shorts and then men were like, well, and then people were just wearing them. And I feel like this is how most rules, at least at Disney and Disney Cruise Line and all those and life get started, is they got tired of telling people that you need pants and they just said, go ahead and wear your shorts as long as they look nice and aren't athletic.
Yes. Still got to wear your closed-toed shoes for men, though.
Do they?
Yes. We were there one time and the guy had sandals and they were, just hiking sandals. They weren't nice, but they were like, oh, we're so sorry. You need to change. He's like, well, the only thing I have is like trainers. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, I don't know that there's a real difference in classiness between like a pair of running shoes and a pair of Sanooks.
But not at someone's hairy toes, I guess.
That's true. That is true.
For Dave, he has Keens, and Keens are closed toed. Like the front is completely covered. And honestly, on most cruises, unless he's going to need sneakers for a workout, he would prefer to never have sneakers for a workout, if we're being honest. He just wears those. And because they're closed toe, he can wear them all the time. So there you go. That's our pro tip. All right. And then a final news story is that 2025, which we already did a whole show on, summer release just occurred. Today was the opening day for members that are cruisers that were interested in cruising DCL that hadn't booked before. And, in true Disney fashion, bookings didn't work first thing this morning, but then they all came back. I am still waiting on emails from payments that I made for clients this afternoon. So they're definitely having some technology issues today, which I feel like we haven't really had in a while with DCL. But it came back today. So I hope that everybody who's looking to book was able to get what they wanted. And obviously, if anybody is still looking to work with a travel agent, they can call me and I'd be happy to help them. And other than that, did you end up booking anything, Lake?
We have not, but I think we are pretty close to locking in the September treasure.
Ah, good for you. Is it like locking in the idea, or is it out into September already?
It's the treasure is out through September.
Okay. I guess all the ships do, right? But I didn't have anybody booking September, so I wasn't looking at that month.
Yes, so they have a treasure cruise over my birthday, as they would, since they sail 7 night sailings. So that is, I think, our plan for our summer 2025 booking.
So that one, though, you turned 31. It's not your 30th, right?
Correct.
Is this your 30th? Okay.
Yes.
Our young Lake.
That's me.
I remember when I turned 30, I was so happy because I was a lawyer. I'd been a lawyer for about 5 years already. And I really just needed to not be in my 20s anymore as a lawyer. So, because nobody wants their lawyer to be in their 20s, I feel like. So as soon as I turned 30, I was like, I'm in my 30s. But, there you go. That's my aging story.
Just riffing me, why don't you? Well, I don't think I have anything else. That is our wrap up for the news. Chris, do you have anything else to share before we wrap up the show?
I don't think so.
Me neither. We are very excited for the show that I'm planning to have come out the week after the Cabanas show for our regular listeners. Really cool. If you're ever interested about how cruise lines or ships are designed or what it's like running a cruise line company. Just some little hints there. But yeah, it's a cool show we have coming out there. I'm very excited to share that. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. And for our Patreons, thank you again for joining us live, participating in the chat. And we will see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.